Yeah, welcome to the program. The Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau has appointed an investigator-in-charge, Air Commander Kwame Mamfe, to launch a probe into the recent incident on the runway of the Kotoka International Airport involving a KLM Dutch airline flight. Now, the plane was attacked by a bird causing an emergency landing. And of course, except of a statement we shall pull up to your screen, show that AIB assembled all relevant data before the KLM aircraft was released, and that the investigation process will be completed in 2 months. Well, this is not the first time a bird struck an airport, an airline at the Kotoka International Airport. Checks from the Africa World Airlines show that they have had around 10 bird strikes already this year. That's just from the Africa World Airline. The main hotspots being Takoradi and Kumasi airports. Well, let's connect with Sean Mendes. He's a former Chief Operations Officer of the Africa World Airlines, as well as an aviation expert. He joins us via Zoom. Sean, we're so grateful that you could join us. Whenever people hear the term bird strike, first of all, explain to us what this means and the threat it poses to aviation. Kindly unmute so we could hear you better.
She always said that after 16 years in power, she didn't want to influence.
Who comes as next. The name suggests, the bird strike is collide, whether the aircraft is on ground, taxiing, or trying to take off, or in the air. This potentially can be very dangerous. If you think about it from a situation where you're driving a car and you collide with an animal, it's a very similar thing, except that aircraft are usually moving at much higher speeds. There's the potential of damage to the fuselage of the aircraft. It could crack a windshield of an aircraft. If it enters an aircraft engine, it could cause a shutdown. So this is something that airlines and regulators and airports take very seriously and try to take all sorts of steps they can to ensure that these things are minimized.
And what is the case with Ghana? Because we do know that, Africa World Airlines recorded 10 cases each and every year. The national case is, hovering beyond 20. What's the case like, and how much of a concern is this?
Oh, it's definitely a major concern. During my times with Africa World Airlines, this was something that came out maybe about once a month or thereabouts, at least. And the primary offenders in this regard were at Takoradi Airport and Kumasi Airport. And if you think about it, if you look at the geography of those airports, Takoradi Airport is right around a bunch of fields. So you have a lot of birds who come and try and eat the grains and things in the field. Despite the efforts of the Air Force there to scare them away, they tend to be in the runway pattern. So as aircraft are landing or taking out, they are in the way. Similarly, in Kumasi, with the construction that's been happening at and near the airport there's a lot of debris and rubbish which the birds come to try and pick from, and as a result, you're having those same issues there. So these are the kind of things which cause birds to flock to the airports. And as a result, it's the kind of steps which airport operators and airlines and other stakeholders must try to eliminate these attractive nuisances that draw these birds here in order to minimize the risk.
So regarding the mitigation of this particular situation, to minimize the risk, how do you measure the entire landscape? Because you rightly stated the fact that most of these birds perch on debris, construction sites, which are close to the airports in question there. How do we deal with these matters once and for all?
Well, most airports, and that includes Kotoka International Airport in Accra, have what they call wildlife management plans. So this basically looks at the different types of wildlife, whether that is a fox or a dog or whatever else that tends to be living near or at the airport, and that includes birds, and accordingly sees what can be done to keep them away from potential interference with operating aircraft and vehicles at the airport. So in the case of birds, this could mean putting up scarecrows. It could mean, some sort of sirens to scare the birds away. It could mean having a man with a shotgun who just fires it in the air or aircraft ready to take off to try and scare the birds off. So the specifics will depend upon the specific risks that are identified. As I said, Accra Airport already has a robust one already in place. I think the investigation right now, and Air Commodore Mamfe is very experienced and very knowledgeable in this area. They will look at what has been done in recent days, what is being done currently. Is there something that could have been done to prevent this incident with the KLM aircraft, and what could be done in the future to try and reduce? the possibility of this happening again. It's never going to be possible to eliminate it completely, just as, when you're driving on the road, there's always going to be a risk that you'll collide with something. Similarly, if you're sharing the sky with birds, there's always going to be a risk, but that risk can be managed and minimized.
So, of course, we are expecting the result of this investigation to be out in 2 months' time. From your perspective, what exact, expectations do you have regarding this investigation?
Well, as I said, there are two objectives of most of these investigations. One is to determine what exactly happened and whether there were any processes which were missed. Perhaps, the system to scare away the birds had not been working, and there was no budget. So, obviously that would then be identified as a cause of the potential accident. And similarly, make recommendations. If there is a new gadget which is on the market, which is more effective in scaring away a particular type of bird or a bat or whatever else, that could be a recommendation that comes out of the report. The Accident Investigation Bureau in Ghana is a new agency. It was just set up a few months ago. And as a result, I think this is the first incident that they are going to be investigating. So I think it's a good test for them to see, it's staffed by a bunch of very good professionals, and it's good to see what they will come up with in terms of the report and the recommendations that they make that hopefully will help improve the safety in Ghana's airspace going forward.
Sean, we're grateful that you could join us with your analysis once again, and we're looking forward to the turnover from that particular investigation, of which we shall share with our viewers, in subsequent bulletins.